You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
We're Eagle Auburn fans, and welcome to Tiger Tracks, your source for Auburn track and field and cross-country news and discussion. I'm your host, Jessica, and I'm here, of course, with my husband, Kyle, to discuss the Carolina Challenge, which took place January 21st and 22nd in Columbia, South Carolina.
Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry, you know how to get that in.
Also, this is Carolina.
That's fine. It works.
And South Carolina specifically.
It works. They all used to be one Carolina. Know your history, Jessica. U.S. history.
But that song is Sweet Caroline, which is a person, which is
You're-
specifically after the Kennedys.
You're
But
thinking
anyway.
way too much into this.
Okay.
And here we are again, tangenting further than we should be.
Also track. So we're here, indoor track, our second meet of the season.
Speaking of which, can we just talk about, imagine running outside right now and jumping and throwing outside right now. It is freezing. This weekend, it was absolutely frigid. So thank goodness it is indoor season for these athletes.
Yeah, that's true. And that's probably why they have indoor season.
And they had the snowstorm too, didn't they, in the Carolinas, I think,
Yep.
or at least a winter storm.
Sure did. I have no idea if it hit Columbia,
It
hit parts of South Carolina.
Yeah, I think it hit more north of where that is. But listen, hey.
I'm not a weather person.
We prefer outdoor season, but this is one of those times we're thankful that the athletes get to sit inside. Not sit inside, run inside.
No, I was going to say, they're not sitting. They are performing, working hard, a lot harder than
Competing.
you and I ever do.
Yes.
So, let's talk about some highlights before we hurt people's feelings.
What do you mean hurt people's feelings?
Well, you just said that they're sitting. So.
Sorry. Okay, that was a slip of the tongue. My apologies. I sang too much and I spoke too much already.
So basically, I should just do the show without you because without you, my
Fine.
show's perfect.
I'm out.
All right. So for the highlights, let's talk about those first. As we always do, we like to start our show with the giant wins, like whatever is, PRs, high performers,
Silver
top
and
performers.
golds and bronze, all that good stuff.
And then we will get into every athlete
Yes.
that competed. So let's start with some highlights.
Let's do Maddie Malone first. I like to throw things a lot.
You love the throws. Now, he doesn't throw things around our house. But,
No, that's true.
Which is good.
I guess I should clarify that. It's a very broad statement that could be taken many different ways.
Yeah.
I like to talk about throwing things. Maddie Malone, with her weight throw, has the 8th best in the country so far this year with her mark of 21.74 meters. Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Second meet of the year and already top 10.
Yeah, just working her way up.
Everything's going well.
Still got
for
a
her.
ways to go, though, to get to that top, and I know she can do it.
Hey, top 10 in the country, Kyle.
I know.
In the country.
Yeah.
This isn't in the Southeast. This isn't in Auburn. This is in the country.
It's a good start.
It's a great start.
Also, Kyle Brown, a weight throw, with his 9th best overall in the country so far, with a mark of 21.59 meters for him. Maddie's got him beat a little bit.
Isn't that okay? I'm glad you saw that. I wasn't going to point it out, but
I'm just saying.
Maddie's killing it.
Well,
but also Kyle's killing it.
Well, Kyle's
not Kyle Loomis, but Kyle Brown.
Yeah, there's already been 2 references to me either throwing things or killing someone. This is not good.
So yeah. Next highlight, Mara Hualt. She PR'd in the weight throw with a throw of 20 meters. Even.
Flat.
Yes.
Just
I didn't know the word. How to say
20.00.
Then Jocelyn Budwig PR'd in the weight throw also with a throw of 18.28 meters. So
can we just go back to Carolina and just throw there? Can we just have all the throwing events happen there?
Because y'all know PRs are my favorite thing.
Yes.
So this is like cotton candy to me.
I'm just
gonna eat it all up.
I don't know what's in the indoor air at the Carolina Challenge,
Maybe
but obviously it's, the wind resistance in there is really good for them. I know this makes no sense and that absolutely plays no factor in how this is actually
But you know
the
what?
results, but I'm going with
it. If you said it with enough confidence, we would believe you.
I don't have confidence though, so that's the thing. All right, Eric Ebell and Kyle Moyson got PRs in the men's weight throw as well. We're not done with weight throws.
I know.
We got to keep talking about them. With throws of 19.42 meters and 19.34 meters, respectively. Let's also talk about Dontavious Hill, somebody we've known for a long time here at Auburn. Got his PR on the year so far in high jump, 2.19 meters, which is the 3rd best in the country so far. I remember seeing this being posted on social media. He was talking about it. Auburn Track and Field social media account was talking about it. It was a very exciting day for him.
Yeah. So moving on to the mile. So both men's and women's mile were won by Auburn.
Whoop, whoop.
Presley Weems won it for the girls, and Cooper Atkins won it for the guys, and then Tommy McDonough placed second in the men's mile.
Yeah, we just had to throw a silver in there. 2 golds weren't enough. 1 more silver would do.
Right. I mean, freaking killing it, Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Jania Jones won the long jump with a PR of 5.85 meters. So this is literally our best case scenario. I love the PRs. You love the golds. Here we are. Jania Jones killing it all the way around.
I'll take it. Christopher Grant matched his PR of 6.64 seconds in the 60-meter dash. Also, Dante Brown earned a bronze medal in the 60-meter dash finals. So I'd like to ask this question as we before we move into all of the results.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot we need to talk about.
Well, what I would ask first is, first meets, going back a week, is always kind of getting you into gear. Typically we've seen Auburn maybe go to some meets that maybe quote unquote less competition, and you see them typically dominate that. So, how would you compare
to
what
be
you're
fair,
seeing here?
I don't know. I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I truly don't know because there were some teams that I don't know a lot about at this meet. It wasn't traditional, just the SEC. So I don't know. I don't know how this competition fares, which is why I love PRs, because it doesn't matter who your competition is.
Right.
A PR is still a PR regardless of who you're competing with. So I don't know.
One of the things I was thinking, though, is, how does this compare individually, though? That's what I was going to get at. Not so much teams is, how do we look here? I mean, you look at weight throws. It looks really, really good overall. And there's some running events in there, too.
And it's always nice for me to be able to see multiple athletes competing in the same event, right? Because then you have healthy inter-team competition and pushing each other. So, as we start off, I'll go ahead and start with the men's 60-meter dash, and we can keep talking. But you see, we had three competitors. So we had Christopher Grant, Dante Brown, and Jason Reese. So two of the athletes, Christopher Grant and Dante Brown, made it to finals.
Right.
Unfortunately, Christopher Grant did not start in the finals. I don't know the story behind that. So I just gave his prelim time. But Jason Reese was one place away from making it to finals. He placed ninth, and top 8 compete in finals. So it was just great.
So, a question here, and I noticed this in our notes here too. I think Christopher Grant is competing in the heptathlon. Is that outside? I think that's why, because I noticed there are some different places where he's competing in different events. I don't know. Just my thought process.
Could be later in the season,
I don't know.
An outdoor.
Yeah, I just found that interesting the way we had that laid out there. But Dante and Jason Reese both made it to the finals, as you said.
No. Dante and Chris.
Oh, I got it backwards. My fault.
Yeah. So Christopher Grant, he placed first overall in the prelims out of 22 athletes with his matching PR time of 6.64 seconds. Dante Brown placed third overall in finals. So he actually ran faster in prelims. He had a 6.69 in prelims and 6.77 in finals.
Right.
Then Jason Reese did not make it to finals, but performed very well in prelims, placed 9th out of 22 with a time of 6.85 seconds.
And it's the top 8 that go.
Correct.
So just outside.
Just barely outside, but gives him hope for the next meet too. So moving on to the men's 200, we did have a competitor this time, which was nice. This was the first time we've seen the 200 in indoor this season. We didn't have it at the last meet. So we had Brandon Smiley placing 9th out of 73 competitors.
Help me understand that.
73! Do you know how many heats
I was going to ask you how many heats
Kyle,
that is.
Oh my gosh!
So hold on. It's 8 in each lane, right? Or is it typically 8?
8 total.
So do some quick math real quick.
So you literally have 9 heats?
9 heats, yeah.
No, 10 heats. Bro, I don't know.
Roughly 9 to 10 heats.
You have a lot of heats that Jessica and Kyle can't do the math on because we're talking
and we have Auburn
we can't
degrees.
Function. No, but so 9 times 7 would be...
Are we doing math?
72.
Yeah.
So they'd have to have one more heat.
Yeah.
So they have to have 10 heats.
Okay, so it's at least 10 heats.
Which means that they didn't do 8 athletes in each heat. Does that make sense?
This podcast is brought to you by Kyle and Jessica doing math. 73, that's absolutely incredible amount of people.
9th out of 73 in prelims with a time of 21.72 seconds.
All right, let's talk about that mile. We've already kind of hinted at it a little bit, but let's talk about it in a little bit more detail because we had 3 competitors overall. We talked about Cooper, who won the whole dang thing out of 57. 57 competitors with a time of 4 minutes, 10.2 seconds. Tommy McDonough got us that silver out of 57 with 4 minutes, 10.7 seconds. Real quick question. How big a differential, just given people who are not big track aficionados, is that 0.2 to 0.7 differential? Not a lot. Yeah.
Not a lot, especially in a mile. So in in any of the dashes, so remember, if it says dash, that means it's a sprint.
Right.
If it is a run, it is more of a long race, a distance
Pace
race.
yourself, kind of.
Correct.
But it's a fast pace. Don't think that you can go out there. I've tried. It doesn't work well.
Kyle would not.
It doesn't work
very
well.
But so the fact that they ran a full mile, 8 laps around that indoor track, and they were still that close together, it shows you, how much, what tight competition that race was.
Yep.
So
last competitor in the mile, Ryan Kinane, 6th out of 57. So he's just missed out on the top 5, but still a great finish to finish 6th out of 57.
Yeah, and top 5 is such a weird thing. Why would you even say top 5? Top 5 is not a
remember
stat.
how this goes here. You focus on the individual performances and PRs and stuff. I'm focusing on more team competitive stuff like bronze, silver, gold medals, being in the top 5.
There's nothing past bronze.
But just it's a moral victory for me to say I got in the top 5. I got in the top 10. It's just a cool thing for me.
Well, he definitely got in top 10.
He did. But top 5, just a hair short with that 4 minutes and 12.6 seconds. Jessica's going to get mad at me for talking about that.
Because why would you focus on something that is arbitrary and you're making it sound bad? He placed 6th out of 57. I think that is fantastic.
It's the way my brain works. And
Keep your brain in the sidelines where it needs to be.
Wow, that hurt.
Okay.
Men's 60-meter hurdles, David Edmondson. He's a sophomore. He got 13th out of 24 with his time of 8.54 meters, just a little bit shorter than his previous time.
Yep. So men's high jump, we actually had a lot of competitors here. So in some of the events, there was an invitational and there was also an open.
This is what I was going to ask you about.
So I knew we were going to get there, and here we are for a lot of the field events. So basically, it's exactly like it sounds. The invitational, you have to be invited to participate in that. So it's trying to stack the deck, essentially, with the top competitors, right?
Right.
And then the other competitors can be there for the open. Anybody can apply for it. Well, anybody that's on the team. Let me calm down, Jessica. Kyle can't go out there and apply to be.
You were taking a lot of shots
open.
at my athletic prowess here.
Excuse me, Kyle. You are a great basketball player. That's a fact.
I go walk 30 minutes a day.
Right. I don't think you could hide that.
Hey Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
So you'll see in a lot of these field events, or you'll hear, because we're not a seeing podcast, you're a listening podcast, you will hear that sometimes we will have multiple competitors with different placements. So, like for instance, Zach
Marinko is what I would say.
Thank you. I struggled on that one. Placed 6th out of 9 competitors with a final jump of 1.9 meters, or his highest jump. And Alex Pyrodonidus, same thing, a jump of 1.9 meters, and placed 7th out of 9 competitors. So that was the open high jump. For the invitational, which traditionally only has 8 competitors,
right,
we had Dontavious Hill placing 1st out of that invitational with his highest jump of the season of 2.19 meters. And then TJ Funchess placing 6th out of 8 competitors with his highest jump of the season too at 2.03 meters.
Yeah, both guys, increasing their amounts from their first performance of the season. Really
which
good.
Which is really what we love to see.
Right.
So moving on to men's pole vault, it is just so nice, I'll be honest, that we still have James Corson, and also that we have another pole vaulter coming into his own. So we had James Corson placing 3rd out of 5 athletes with a vault of 5.05 meters. And then Matthew Asplund placing 4th out of 5 competitors with a vault of 4.95 meters.
I'll finish us out for the jumps here. Men's long jump, David Edmondson again. 10th out of 31 in the long jump with a jump of 6.63 meters, just a little bit short of his previous mark in the last meet. Men's shot put, we're getting into the throwing things now. You know, I like to throw things. Ethan Richter, a freshman, 1st out of 21 competitors with a throw of 15.77 meters, which is not a lot, but still a decent amount shorter than his previous one. Yeah. Which is incredible.
But he still got 1st out of 21
Absolutely.
athletes.
I think that's fascinating is like that you had a lesser throw technically, but you still won the whole dang thing. That shows you how good he probably is. We also got Alex Pyrodonidus again, 7th out of 21 with a 14.01 meter throw, his first throw in this event of the season. We also got the men's weight throw. Quentin Wynn, we got to know him for the first time last podcast. Glad to see him as part of the team now. 4th out of 22 with a throw of 16.06 meters, just a hair short of the podium. Wanted him on the podium, just so close. Kyle Brown, we already talked about, 2nd out of 8 with 21.59 meters, which is a little bit longer than his one last time. And then Kyle Moisen, 5th out of 8 competitors, 19.34 meters. Again, a little bit better than last time.
Well, and also their PRs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to the women. So for the women's 200, we had Nia Benton-Andrews placing 11th out of 84 competitors. These 200 meters, everybody wanted to run those.
So why is that? Like, is there just...
I have no idea.
That's an interesting thing. Why not... I mean... There's still sprints, kind of, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I know it's not the 100-meter dash.
Well, they don't do the 100 necessarily.
That's right, yeah.
So this meet, they did not do the 100. Traditionally, they don't do the 100 in indoor because it is a banked turn, right?
Yep, right.
So the 100 in outdoor is straight.
See, this is why...
flat ground. If you start it, you're either starting on the banked area, which is still dangerous, and even the 200 athletes know that, but... It's just one of those things.
See, this is why I want us to have our own indoor facility so we can show, like, people can come see this. Because I think us talking about it, like, what do you mean banked curve? Like, I mean, just go look them up online. It's a pretty cool little thing. Like, you have to just run up on this bank to finish the race.
Is still such an interesting concept to me, and I still don't understand why that happened. I probably should Google like the original indoor track facility because I mean, some of these tracks, like I will never forget being in lane 8 and being absolutely terrified because at my facility that we ran out, which is in a horse barn because I'm, from North Alabama, there was nothing. Like if you fell off the top of the track, which I saw many, many, many times, you just fell straight onto concrete, like 6 feet down. No, taller than that because I was shorter than the track. So probably 9 feet down off the top of a wooden track onto concrete.
Who says track and field's not a dangerous sport?
Who thought that was a good plan?
You're throwing things, you're like running up like almost horizontal.
I mean, it is wild. So anyway, Nia Benton-Andrews placed 11th out of 84 in the 200 with a time of 24.67 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then we actually had 2 competitors in the women's 400, which, shameless plug, is still my favorite event ever. So specifically the 4x4, but we didn't have any teams competing in that. Right. But the regular 400, I love it. So Asia Jinx, who is new to us, talking about her on the podcast. So she placed 7th out of 48 competitors with a time of 55.57 seconds. A great first time for us to talk about her on the podcast. Mm-hmm. That's a great time. And then Brittany Campbell, another new name to us, placed 30th out of 48 with a time of 61.48 seconds.
All right, let's talk about some more. We're getting a little bit longer in the distances here for the ladies. Women's 800, Jennifer Dietrich, the senior, 17th out of 48 competitors with a time of 2 minutes, 17.8 seconds, which is a little bit longer than the last one. The women's mile, Presley Williams, who we've already talked about, killed it. First overall out of 57 competitors, 4 minutes, 44.4 seconds. Couldn't get any more fours in there. It's
right.
4. Haley Porterfield, the freshman, 5th out of 57, right behind her, 4 minutes, 58.7 seconds. Her best time of the season as well. We got the women's 60-meter hurdles, Nia Benton-Andrews, the sophomore, 9th out of 24 competitors with a time of 8.767 seconds. Kiara McCarroll, the senior, 20th out of 24 with a time of 9.17 seconds. And Asia Jinx, the 23rd out of 24th place, 9.29 seconds was her run.
So moving on to women's high jump, we get to see Grayson Scott. I don't believe we talked about her either. So another great name that we get to talk about this season, placing first out of 15 in the open women's high jump with a jump of 1.68 meters. And then Allison Tanner placed 8th in the open high jump with 1.60 meters. Then Kamaya Dindy placed 4th out of 7, which was in the invitational, the women's high jump invite, with a jump of 1.73 meters. Moving on to pole vault. Again, I love that we have pole vault athletes. It's not every school that has one. So we actually have 2 for the women. Lexi Lena Weber placing 5th out of 7 athletes with a jump of vault, of 3.75 meters.
We've debated this before.
Yeah,
Is it a jump or a vault?
I'm going to go with vault. But anyway. And then Rhiannon Held placing 6th out of 7 with a vault of 3.65 meters.
Long jump, Jania Jones, first overall out of 31 competitors with a jump of 5.85 meters. Elise Heddens, a freshman, 14th out of 31, 5.11 meters, was just a little bit short of her previous mark in the first meet. And then Kiara McCarroll again, 15th out of 31 with a 5.10 meter mark. The triple jump, which always baffles me that people can actually do this type of thing.
Honestly, y'all, if you have not watched the triple jump, you need to YouTube this. It is an athletic feat.
People, you have homework for this week. Go look up the images of the bank tracks for indoor and go look up triple jump.
Triple jump is honestly one of those things, like truly, like I am amazed by all of these athletes. Whether you come in first or last, I am impressed with you and your dedication to the sport and just, the true, what am I looking for? Like
awareness,
motivation, commitment, everything that it takes to be a true collegiate athlete. But the triple jump, I am super impressed with you because I can't even walk and do those things.
Honey, you can't triple walk. You can't triple put 2 steps in front of you.
Literally, and to not, the amount of times that you could scratch and be disqualified out of the triple jump, like there are so many things you could do wrong, and these athletes do it right all the time.
Do yourself a favor. Go watch it.
Speaking of somebody that does it right, Jania Jones did it right.
Yep. 6 out of 8 competitors, 11.81 meter jump for her.
Moving on to women's shot put, we had a lot of competitors. So this is one of those where we had the open and the invite. So we'll start with the invite. We had Jocelyn Budwig in the women's shot put invitational. She placed 3rd out of 9, with 15.56 meter throw. And then Mara Hewalt placing 6th out of 9 competitors with a throw of 14.96 meters. So then to the women's shot put open, we had Kiara McCarroll placing 11th out of 35 athletes with a throw of 12.41 meters. Trinity Love placing 32nd in a throw of 9.94 meters. And Elise Heddens placing 33rd with a 9.5 meter throw.
Now, just for point of conversation, you may not know the answer to this. Thinking about opens, invitationals, all that kind of stuff. I would imagine the invitational doesn't really count towards championships and stuff like that for setting your... I wouldn't think so if it's just a chance for you to get out there and compete. Just kind of spitballing.
You're full of questions today.
This is where my mind goes sometimes.
I know. I love it. You're very inquisitive.
Just, learn a little bit more about track and field. Maybe someone can answer that for us.
Moving on to the women's weight throw. Again, same situation where we've got an open and an invitational. So we'll start with the open. We had Trinity Love she placed in the women's weight throw open. She placed 14th out of 30 competitors with a throw of 13.69 meters. And then for the invitational, we had 3 competitors, which is very impressive that all 3 were invited. We had Maddie Malone, placing 1st out of 8 with a throw and a PR, I believe, and, the 8th in the country,
so
all the things with a throw of 21.74 meters. Now, Mara Hewalt, this is a PR for her, 20.00 meters, placing 3rd out of 8. And look at the difference, Kyle. So last meet, she threw 18.64 meters. This meet, she threw 20.00 meters. She was like, we're just going to skip the 19s. Got it. Then we had Jocelyn Budwig placing 5th out of 8 with a throw of 18.28 meters. So really, really solid performance by the throwing athletes from Auburn, both men and women.
Yep.
But I'm just really impressed overall with this meet. I feel like we had a lot of good competition, a lot of Auburn competition. Kyle did ask about that, and I'm not sure about overall competition.
Right.
But just really pleased with the way the athletes were able to compete with each other.
Well, and that's the thing, too. You would expect as the season goes further along, the competition gets harder and harder. Just tendency is to do that. And so you've seen a lot of athletes take that next step forward. And just because someone didn't get a better time or a better throw or jump or whatever this meet doesn't mean it's not going to get better for them. Everybody's got little, moments. Let me throw basketball in here. Jabari Smith, the number one player in the nation, had one of his worst games recently against
Missouri.
And we almost lost the game. It wasn't his fault, but I'm just saying, and nobody's going to fault that against him. So if you're one of these athletes that maybe had just a little bit of a step back in terms of times or numbers, things like that, we got you. And we're expecting big things out of you for the next meet.
That's right. So speaking of the next meet, Auburn goes to Texas Tech for the Texas Tech Open and Multis.
That's a
January
new one.
28th and 29th. I know! I'm so excited that we're going somewhere different.
I mean, I feel like we go between Carolina,
And
Tennessee, and Florida. Yeah, I think.
That's
I
it.
feel like sometimes Arkansas too. For indoors, maybe every once in a while.
Well, and I think that's where the championships were last year.
Yeah, that's
correctly.
That sounds about
But
right.
Texas Tech, I'm so excited.
It's like a desert out there in Lubbock.
I was about to say, what's the name of that city?
Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, Texas.
Where Tommy Tuberville used to be,
Well,
out in the day.
A lot of good people came from there.
I guess
Mainly
so.
Tommy Tuberville, because that's the only person I know from there.
You might be a little bit of a Tommy Tuberville fan.
I'm also an Auburn fan.
That's true.
And once an Auburn man, always an Auburn.
There you go.
War Eagle to that.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.